Article came out from Washington Examiner saying only 17% of black voters support defunding the police.
Yeah.
The survey of black voters conducted by the GRIO and KFF published on Wednesday asked 1,000 black adults who say they are registered to vote for their opinion on policing. About half of those polled, 48%, said they would like to see police funding kept about the same, while 34% said they wanted increased financial support. Just 17% responded that they support decreasing the funding for the police. The poll also found that 3 in 4 black voters viewed criminal justice and policing as a very important factor in making their decision about who to vote for, including 77% of Democrats and 68% of Republicans. The issue of crime was as important for those who made under $40,000 per year as for those making over $90,000.
More important.
Interesting.
Should be more important. The
Under 40 than above 90.
Because people,
community you're living in.
Well, the community you're living in, the police become more valuable. A lot of people who make more money have access to private security and all of those perks. But if you're making $40,000 a year, and particularly, by the way, if you live in an area where your Second Amendment right isn't protected, these people aren't armed themselves, these law-abiding citizens, so they rely heavily on the police being active and present. And they don't have the money to afford the private security. That's some of the issues that came up with the Paul Pelosi story that I think, everyone ran with those arguments. You said, by the way, they that ran with the arguments about it's QAnon this, Hillary Clinton was on board, big name profiles. People were just asking like, hey, where are the security cameras? Isn't it odd that was there an alarm system? Isn't it like some of the stuff just wasn't making sense? And they were questioning. And of course, you're not allowed to question a narrative. Sometimes, the left will jump back and say, oh, well, you want violence. No one wants violence. But some of the stuff just didn't make sense and didn't add up with that initial narrative that Adam was mentioning about QAnon and whatnot.
It's funny.
Matter.
The story you're telling about like how liberals in New York will put up a sticker, let's say, but like that's not the reality that they'd actually what they stand for in real life. Like, have you what this reminds me of? It's like almost like the cognitive dissonance of like in real life, real time. Tyler, see if you can pull this up. You ever seen this? I think it was like someone sitting in an airport on their Apple laptop computer and with like a sticker that's like capitalism sucks,
right?
Socialism rules, while they're sitting there on their Apple laptop with their Apple eardrums or ear beats or whatever.
Pat posted that on LinkedIn.
Okay. With their Starbucks in their hand, with their McDonald's Egg McMuffin, like capitalism sucks. It's like, how unaware of you of what you have going on in your life to be preaching that, but like living something completely different from what you're saying on your sticker.
But you know where that comes from. That comes from academia, because these kids learn in school. They have a total disconnect. Like you go through economics, you go through all these classes, and you have no concept of what these policies actually look like in the real world. So they're dissociated from reality. And it's like, oh, I'm going to sit here and, wait a minute. Is this something that emerged from capitalism? There's no thought process there. So they're just like the talking points, the sticker, being accepted. But they don't actually process that what they're advocating for would prevent them from living the lifestyle that they actually want to live.
Well, it's Martha's Vineyard.
Yes.
How fast did they bring in the National Guard?
Yes.
2 days? How many? It was a couple hundred migrants?
Right.
2 days they brought in the National Guard, kicked those people out. The same people that have Black Lives Matter. Nobody's we're all immigrants. Nobody's illegal, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
This has been going on for 30 years or more.
Right.
This is the whole limousine liberal movement. Right. And I separate that from, I think what really happened, which was an absolute, not to be ironic, but a crime. What happened is the people that were in the inner cities in those areas, living down there, trying to find a better job, trying to escape, trying to get to the next rung of the social ladder. You have to see what happened in a lot of these cities. To avoid engagements, the police reduced patrols from like 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. And so the people that were living down there, that were not drug dealers, they were living in neighborhoods they could afford, living in neighborhoods they'd lived for generations, and just trying to find, where do I go from here? What's my next step? Where's the jobs? Where's the thing? And they're down there, and they're the victims of the crimes. And they're the victims of what's going on down there. And then the police defunded or intimidated to the point that they, with the body cams and everything, they don't want engagements. They don't want to go down there and patrol because it's going to create an engagement. It's going to create an engagement on film, and the film's going to be used in a narrative. And so the people that really lose here, he says, and that it should be not surprising to anybody to say that 17% of African-American or black voters support defunding the police, and the 83% of them are, no, I need the police, and I need them to be down here. And I think there's some cities like Dallas that have shown, exemplary change. And then you've got places right now where, would you have ever thought, Pat, that the political polling in Oregon would be what it is right now in the edge of an election?
Strange.
Why is that? Did maybe crime and economy ever hit people so hard?
First thing, if you ever build a country and you're competing, say the war, Armageddon happens, there's only 1 million people left, everyone's thinking about where to put their kids and where to raise their family, the first thing a mom thinks about is the S word. It's security and safety. If you can't provide that in any city, in any state, in any country, you lose people, period. Mom's going to sit there and say, listen, man, I have one job. The natural instinct of a mom is to protect their kids. You screw with her, you have a wrong enemy. You cannot mess with moms, and that's what they do.
I'm a bear.
It's just not going to work out.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.